Welcome to the Reality Revolution podcast. I am your host, Brian Scott, author, life coach, entrepreneur, epiphany addict, artist. This podcast is dedicated to the spirits who believe life is meant to be magical and fun. It contains advanced viewpoints for the multidimensional human beings of the 21st century. Here we venture to share mysteries of self and reality. Our primary purpose is to reawaken your sense of fascination and awe towards life, to shatter your rigid belief systems and ways of seeing the world. Our goal is to hack reality, unleash your potential, and open unlimited possibilities of wealth, health, and relationships in your life, to explore the very mysteries of the universe itself. Today's episode, we're going to talk about meditation, how to do it, why it's important, what works and what doesn't, the different kinds of meditation. It's interesting when you start becoming a life coach and you meet somebody that comes to you and says, hey, I want to achieve this particular goal. I'm trying to overcome this particular obstacle. Almost every time you find out they don't meditate and you want to get them into some kind of practice of meditation. And they'll tell you, yeah, okay, I'll do that, but they don't. It's an interesting conundrum. And you have to find ways to coach people around meditation. And it's understandable. A lot of people are very resistant to it. It's boring. They don't have time to do it. Why should I do it? Especially if I'm talking to somebody that's over a certain age range, they are simply just not going to do it. They are so stuck in their habits and rituals. The idea of sitting there and meditating is difficult. And I'm just here to tell you that while you can achieve your goals and dreams without meditating, meditation ramps it up and makes the possibilities exponential. It gives you a greater awareness. There's so many incredible benefits from meditation. And that's not to say it's a be-all, end-all, will solve all of your problems. There are situations where people meditate and they encounter panic attacks and anxieties. And in many ways, I think that they're doing it wrong, or they're coming from the wrong place, or they're not getting instruction. But it is not the perfect solution for all of your problems. But I believe it's incredibly important. And a lot of times, people simply don't know how to meditate. They don't know what they're doing when they're meditating, or they come to it with too many expectations. So I just want to talk a little bit about my experiences with meditation and what you can get out of meditation. So on future podcasts where I have guided meditations, perhaps you can apply some of these things that we're talking about, or you can remember these things so you have an idea of what to expect and how to utilize meditation. What is meditation? You know, a lot of times we make it too ritualistic and formal. I believe that you can go into a meditative state in all kinds of situations. Laying on the couch, sitting in the back of the car, we can go into meditative states. That's the truth. The brain, it has different brainwave states, and the idea is to move your brain into a different state of awareness. Slowing down your brain waves is very effective, and that's one of the things you're doing. But you're also doing more than that. You're opening up your pineal gland, and you're giving yourself a sense of clarity and focus and understanding the way your mind works, providing a gap between your thoughts and your emotions and actions. It gives you a level of control that you don't have before. What is meditation? I mean, really, what is it? Meditation is generally used as a broad umbrella that covers a wide array of contemplative practices, many of which are drawn from Buddhist traditions. But not always. And that's a lot of times I meet people and they think that it's a Buddhist thing. It's not. Many times meditation has been adapted and secularized to Western society. There's many programs where you go to a doctor and they can prescribe certain kind of meditative practices. Wendy Hassenkamp of the Mind Life Institute said, it is a broad set of practices that seek to use the mind in specific, intentional ways. And that's what we're trying to do. If we come to the conclusion that you can create your reality through the power of your thoughts and your mind, then we want to harness this power. And the first thing you need to do is put yourself in a meditative state to get control and understanding of the way that your mind works. So let's just briefly talk about the research and what research tells us. And first of all, before I go into this, you can't really research meditation. There's an aspect of meditation that really could never be researched. It's too complicated. But we can research some things like depression and anxiety. The authors of the JAMA study determined moderate evidence exists to support that mindfulness meditation can help reduce depression and anxiety over 8-week periods of time. And so we have seen moderate evidence. Exactly what it sounds like. Results are positive using rigorous standards with large groups have shown that participants have reduced depression through a regular regimen of meditation. A February 2018 meta-analysis in the Clinical Psychology Review assessed 142 clinical trials with a total of 12,000 participants with a variety of mental and behavioral health conditions reached the same conclusions. Researchers found that NBIs were generally just as effective as evidence-based EBTs, such as the first-line standard treatment like cognitive therapy or antidepressants for people with depression and anxiety for immediate post-treatment and follow-ups. So basically, it's just as effective as people who take medications and certain other sources of therapy. It's interesting, and scientists believe there's a link between mental illnesses like depression and ruminative thinking, where you revisit the same thoughts over and over again about yourself. Usually you're revisiting some thought about the past or the future. And so the reason the meditation works is this seems to happen in a default mode that occurs. They call it a default mode network that occurs in your brain, a habitual thinking process. And the brain defaults to this in certain situations, and you can break that default, which is much more powerful than a lot of medications, which oftentimes can have secondary results. One intuitive theory that people have is that people can apply judgment-free thought awareness and attention directing, choosing to guide their attention back to the present moment or in their breath while they meditate. They practice mindfulness meditation. Their habitual depressive thinking and mental ruts they go into reduce. So some people have claimed that looking at things like drops of water or looking at candles has helped them pull themselves out of these ruts of thinking. So it's really logical to think that in that case it can reduce depression. People have also shown that it can reduce chronic pain. A 2015 meta-analysis of 11 randomized controlled trials published in the British Journal of General Practice concluded that people with chronic pain linked to a variety of conditions may benefit from meditation. Interestingly, mindfulness meditation had its effects not on pain intensity, but on perceived pain control. Not how much the pain the person felt, but how they felt they coped with it. So you can deal with pain better. And the 2016 paper co-authored by Vago similarly suggests that mind-body practices like mindfulness meditation may teach patients to self-regulate their respective experience of pain directly with the present-centered and acceptance-based focus. So the idea is, even though you're experiencing pain, you're able to deal with it better than just randomly taking medications and other type of things. So, researchers have gone into some other deep analysis about inflammation. A 2016 meta-review of 1,600 participants found that meditation reduced inflammation. And while that may be related to other things like lifestyles related to people that meditate, it's very, very promising. And people have even gone to see that the DNA lengthened and had psychological benefits beyond just depression and pain from these meditation. That's just from the studies. People have done neuroimaging studies to pinpoint regions and networks of the brain that meditation seems to affect. It doesn't tell us how they impact them, but clearly there's the brain changes, and there's something called neuroplasticity, which is that your brain can adapt and change regularly, and you access this neuroplasticity through meditation. They've shown that parts of the brain can thicken and increase connectivity between different networks by neuroimaging the brains of several patients. They've found these. A 2014 meta-review of 21 neuroimaging studies And about 300 meditation practitioners found 8 brain regions that consistently displayed effects, including areas such as meta-awareness, introspection, body awareness, memory, self-regulation, emotion regulation, by using meditation. And that's very promising and powerful. A lot of this, anybody that meditates will tell you that it's awesome. I can tell you that the benefits are pretty great. There are some there's some definite dangers that have been cataloged. In a recent article on Vice in November of 2018, Shayla Love catalogs the dangers of meditation. And she interviews several subjects that literally lost their minds and go into what they call a pit or a void of despair from doing meditations. Why is this happening? There is, in Buddhist circles, they do notice in some cases that people do face higher anxieties and despairs from meditation, which is counterintuitive to what I gave you before. And I personally think that it's people experimenting with meditation on their own, or they're doing the meditation incorrectly. So what's happening is they're focusing on something that actually hurts them. That what you're focusing on and your awareness and your attention during the meditation is important. So I think that it is powerful. And if you undertake your meditation practice and focus on something negative or let your mind take control, in many ways it could have a significant negative effect. But in my experience, meditation has allowed me to focus. I'm able to accomplish tasks in better methods or much faster. It reduces your stress. Clearly, studies show that as well. It has reduced my stress substantially. It has reduced my blood pressure. It can allow you to communicate more effectively. You're not as reactive. You're able to listen to what somebody says and truly listen, instead of a lot of times you talk to somebody, you can tell they're not really listening to you. They're thinking about what to say next, or they're often in their own world, but you're more present and able to listen to what people say, which has really helped my ability to communicate through more defined words, and I'm more creative. I'm able to do more creative things. It opens up certain parts of my mind that make me more creative. I didn't, until I started a regimen of regular meditation, I didn't start becoming an artist and doing artwork and learning the power of art and studying it and learning how to write better and even making music, all I believe from opening up the way my mind works with meditation. It can help your health. I believe it can improve your heart condition. People, if you read any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, people have overcome cancers and significant life-threatening diseases through a regular regimen of meditation with a specific intent of changing the way they think and their pattern of thinking. It can promote the health of your mind, obviously, as we've talked about. It makes it sharper, and it allows you to really come into terms for the real you. There's a you that you've crafted over time, based on your response to the world around you. But what is really powerful is once you kind of get to know yourself better, you can feel more comfortable expressing who you are and what your beliefs are. And you don't try to shape the world around you as to what other people think or what you think that they want. And the final thing is, I truly believe that meditation gives you power. If you listen to my last podcast where we talked about activating the pineal gland. The pineal gland is activated when your eyes are closed and light is turned off. That's when it becomes activated, and it secretes melatonin and DMT. What also is happening is the electromagnetic qualities of the pineal gland is activated, and this creates a sphere that blocks out other waves of information coming in, and you have direct access to the source. This access to the source being an information space that physicists have proven, and several books have proven that there is an absolute area of space that is within us and all around us that is informational. This informational, it knows about your future, your past, about the consequences of any particular action that you take. Even outside of your life, you can access information in this field. And that's why you have people that are psychic and intuitive and get hunches about their future, because they have direct access to this informational space that is aware of all the different infinite parallel realities of your life and other people's lives. And it literally gives you this information that you have access to, that helps you to make decisions in your life and can profoundly change your life in dramatic ways beyond anything that you can imagine. There's several different kinds of meditations, and I will not be able to go through all of them. The most common is just a concentrative type of meditation. In this type of meditation, the focus is where you focus on something in particular. People will look at a candle, or more commonly, the most popular is to simply focus on your breath, or use a sound or mantra that you focus on. Doing this, it allows you to clear your mind. It gives you something to do. A lot of people will sit and try to meditate and clear their mind, and it doesn't really work like that. What's happening with meditation, a good analogy to give you is, it's like you're standing in a building with a window and it starts to rain, and you can see the rain hitting the window, but you're not getting wet. And imagine that's what's happening with your thoughts. Your thoughts are hitting that window, but you're not getting wet, and it's giving you a separation. Sometimes we're controlled by our thoughts. Our thoughts are running through us. In many ways, we don't know whose thoughts these are. We may be accessing the thoughts of people around us, or maybe your next door neighbor. They're in this realm, we don't know. But these thoughts sometimes are unimportant, and we have these thoughts. They overwhelm us. They affect our behavior. They affect our emotions. They affect what we do. And this just gives you that little space to see the thoughts that are coming in. And one method that's commonly used is breathing. It's probably the most simple of methods to use, because you can do it anytime without anything else. Breathing is effective because it plays a role in your daily life and your well-being. And many of those that practice other alternative methods such as yoga also believe breathing is essential to maintaining a correct state of mind. And breathing, and we will have an entire other podcast to talk about breathing and all of the different ways that breathing can change your life. And I want to go into detail about those things. But when we're talking about it now, it's just simply something to focus on. As you begin to have thoughts overwhelm you and you become distracted, you just come back to your breath, and you try to sometimes pattern your breath. You can count your breath. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, 7 seconds in, 11 seconds out. So if you feel overwhelmed or anxious, the breathing itself, more than just the meditation, can calm you. And it's a tool in meditation. It helps you gain control over your mind just by sitting and breathing. You've heard of mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is quite unlike that of concentrative. It's focusing on the moment. It's focusing your lens, but widening it. The best way I can explain is that you can sit and become mindful of the moment that you're in without judging it. You become much more aware of everything around you with mindfulness meditation, including all of your feelings, the things you see, the things you hear, the smells, the sounds, the elements that you may want to filter out of your mind with other meditations. From here, though, it's unique, because you'll notice when you're mindful of things that you will not react to them. Instead, you're simply taking in this information. You become mindful of the moment, and you expand your awareness outward. So because you're not involved with images and elements that are filtering through your mind, you actually calm down a little bit. Some people find mindfulness meditation very powerful, and it's simply another type of meditative state. By being mindful, it gives you greater clarity. When I have done mindfulness meditations, it just has given me greater clarity and awareness. There's something that people do called walking meditation. It's just a very disciplined, elaborate process of focusing simply on your walking. You pay attention to your body as it walks. You should note how it feels, not just your walking, but how each part of the body feels. And focus your attention on each of your feet with just one foot as it hits the ground. And as you move forward into the future with each step, it becomes meditative. And if your mind begins to wander off, you force yourself just to focus on your movements, very much like the breathing. It's concentrative, but some people find this effective because they can do it while moving, and some people have a very difficult time staying still. Another type of meditation is transcendental meditation, which involves using a mantra of some kind that you repeat for 15 to 30 minutes. It's interesting because you work closely with an instructor with a lot of transcendental meditation. They give you certain mantras. It's become commercialized a little bit, but I do find it to be very powerful, and I do recommend it. It has magical effects in getting the brain to certain brainwave states. When you repeat a mantra over and over again, the particular mantras that they give you, it allows your eyes to relax, your muscles to relax, and it's very interesting. I've had great success with it, but you have different mantras that they repeat. Like, it's not Om. There are other mantras, and sometimes it's based on your age or the instructor that you're talking to and how it works. So how do you meditate? What's the process to meditating? What do you recommend? Well, there's lots of ways to do it. I can only tell you that when I first started, if you read the literature, going back to ancient texts and people that have really experimented with meditation, the greatest success is to keep your spine straight. And that's hard to do. For some people, they have bad postures, and it's hard to keep your spine straight for a given period of time. In yoga, there's something called the lotus pose, and it kind of forces you into a very straightened spine state that's very comfortable, but it's uncomfortable. The pose is hard to get to, and it takes time. You have to stretch your muscles out. You have to get into a comfortable state, and some people can't do it. A lot of people simply can't get into the lotus position. So, you may want to start by laying down. A lot of researchers, and Dr. Dispenza, for instance, does not believe that you should lay down in your bed if that's where you sleep, because we associate the bed that we're in as a place that we sleep. And so a lot of times, because of this habitual pattern that we're firing these neurons whenever we're sleeping in this bed, it puts you in a place where you're more likely to sleep during your meditation instead of being in a meditative state. But I did start my meditative journeys by laying down because it was easier for my back. And if you can find a comfortable place to lay down, then you can do it. If you can start in your bed, what I will tell you is that meditation of any kind is better than no meditation. So one of the things that I can explain to you about meditation, that imagine, just to give you some motivation, imagine you have access to these superpowers, this incredible energy that's all around you and all around your head. But you're wearing a football helmet all the time to block this out. And the only way that you can pull this helmet off and access this incredible resource is to meditate. We walk around our whole lives never even accessing it. And when you get into this meditative state, you start to pull that helmet off. And once you access this, it's going to change your life. It's very powerful. But I would say the best way to start is to, first of all, the location. What location are you meditating in? It's good to have a specific environment where you meditate every time. That's what I would recommend. Find the right environment in which to meditate, one with minimum distractions. This is very important. Try to minimize distractions as much as possible. Pick a comfortable place where you can be alone and not be seduced by the addiction of the external world. Make it secluded, private, easily accessible. Go to this place every day when you meditate. It might be at the foot of your bed, or there's a particular room in your house. Some people do like to meditate outside. If you can find a place where you feel alone, away from distractions, then that's possible. What the best thing I can say is be careful wherever you meditate that you don't get too distracted and it's not associated with something else. You want to prevent the distractions. So you want to make sure that your pets cannot distract you. Something I always have to do is shut my door as much as possible, eliminate any sensory stimuli. If you have noise canceling headphones, just turn them on without any noise if you don't want to listen to anything. If you have earplugs, that can work. If you have a sleep mask to cover your eyes, sometimes that's even better than just closing your eyes. Just want to eliminate, you want to turn off your phone, turn off your computer so that you don't hear texts or tweets or, IMs or emails coming in. You don't want the aroma of any food or coffee around because that's going to distract you while you're sitting and meditating. You can listen to music, but don't listen to anything that associates with anything. Make sure it's relaxing and trance-inducing instrumentals type of thing. There's two different things that you'll come into grips with. It may be easier for you at the beginning to do a guided meditation. And if you look back on the other episodes on this podcast, I've provided a couple of different kind of meditations, and I will be providing more with more feedback that you guys provide. I will provide more and different kinds of meditations that you can listen to. And oftentimes, at the beginning of your meditative practice, it's easier to listen to somebody. It gives you something to do, and you're not having to deal with a lot of this. You can enter into these brainwave states. There is a difference between hypnosis and guided meditation. Hypnosis is a particular language that can make you more suggestible. Guided meditation can guide you in a certain direction with imagery and visualizations. And there is something powerful about doing a non-guided meditation and the silence. I believe that they're very, very different. And if all you've ever done is guided meditations, I recommend that you spend a little bit of time in silence. Just simply say to yourself, I'm open and I'm receptive. Get into that flow of the moment. There's the amount of time that you meditate. If you have 5 minutes, then do 5 minutes. If you have 10 minutes, then do 10 minutes. Tony Robbins spends 10 minutes, and essentially his meditation is a priming procedure he does in the morning where he has memories of the past, of grateful things that he has. He sends out prayers for people that he loves. He gets connected with his heart, and he visualizes 3 things that he loves. And I recommend that you listen to his priming routine, and I'm going to try to do an example of my own priming routine